de facto, in fact, or in effect, whether by right or not.
You got people out here locking people up for no reason. I'm born here.
They're hemming people up, slamming them against the walls, checking for their papers because they don't like to be, disrespected by people looking at them. This is what happened in New York.
You got people out here locking people up for no reason. I'm born here.
You said you're born here?
Yeah, I'm born here. Kings County Hospital, Brooklyn. I'm born here. I'm gonna get all my fucker. Yeah, broke ass. Suck my.
So they got a black man pinned up against the wall in New York. And as he said, I was born here. I'm an American. Wait, you were born here? Did you hear the idiot? That gang of idiots that ran him up against the wall and was violating his rights in this country? I'm actually tired of people then seeing videos like that and then saying, man, that lawsuit's coming. He better get his lawsuit ready. Man, we're tired with these lawsuits. Fine, get your money, but I don't even think that's even going to happen. But as I mentioned, this fascist in the White House is asked about Representative Dan Goldman, who was talking about new ways to go after these ICE agents that do things like that.
What's your reaction to Representative Dan Goldman calling on NYPD to arrest ICE agents who he says are acting illegally? He says they are illegally assaulting people and illegally detaining people at immigration courts in New York.
Well, I know Dan, and Dan's a loser. You understand. He's a guy that doesn't have what it takes. He's been trying so hard, and they're exhausted. I mean, it's so ridiculous, right? A suggestion like that. So, they're just trying so hard, and it's not working. They've even now started imitating me, of all people. They want to imitate me, and they start using foul language, but they use too much of it. You can't use the F word 7 times in one sentence. It doesn't work. It might work once every 7 news conferences, but you can't do it. You can't do it 7 times in one sentence. So I don't know. They're really they're in big trouble, that party.
Did you just hear him answer that question, or did you hear him start saying Dan Goldman's a loser? And then I'm just gonna talk randomly about a whole bunch of other stuff. In other words, he doesn't know anything about what's going on, or actually doesn't care what's going on, as far as some of the pushback from people like Dan Goldman, who said that these ICE guys should be arrested for assaulting people, like normalcy. He just goes on to talk about how he's a loser, and all the idiots and minions around him start to chuckle about the fact that he's a 10-year-old kid in an 85-year-old man's body. What he really doesn't care about is these types of assaults that happen to people, which would be the reasons why Dan Goldman wants people like these ICE agents arrested.
Yo, run over. Y'all finna get a whole lawsuit. What? Whole lawsuit. Yeah. Hit and run. Hit and run. That's a hit and run. Hit and run. Hit and run. That's a hit and run. Hit and run. Hit and run. Look, hey, watch out with that weapon. That weapon. Yo, watch out. What's wrong with you? You hit it. You hit her. Yo. What's wrong? You hit her. You hit her. You guys hit her. You guys hit her. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all hit her? Y'all bust a whole U-turn in the middle of the street. Y'all hit her. Y'all on camera. Leave her alone. She ain't even do. She trying to go to work. She trying to go to work. Oh, what? That's some crazy. Y'all got no heart, for real. No heart. No heart. She's a female. You guys hit her. How you guys gonna arrest her? You guys hit her. Man, how y'all gonna arrest her, man?
So you saw, as was said by the guy that was recording multiple times, you guys hit her. You saw the car accident happen. You saw that unmarked car that's not a police vehicle with sirens or lights coming on, just running into people. And after running into someone, they decide to then go snatch her out of her car, shoes off by her feet and ankles, because they're a gang of criminals running around with their faces covered, talking about how they're so afraid. Now, if you saw a gang of folks run up on a woman in her car, snatch her out and put her on the ground and drop their knee in her stomach and her pelvis, you might jump on them and whoop somebody's ass. You might say, hey, look at these ass criminals beating this woman down in the middle of the street, and you would whoop their asses. You might even pull out some weapons. But in this case, what you're left doing is recording and saying, you're going to get it all on tape. You're going to be okay, baby girl. It'll happen soon. Because you know what? They've scared enough people into worrying about, again, as American citizen, you have no more rights to do anything about people that have been invading your cities, going on and assaulting folks in the streets after causing accidents. So Newsweek wrote about what it is that happened with this woman. So the Chicago woman has told Newsweek that she was forcibly removed from her vehicle by federal immigration agents. It's weird. You know, maybe they're going after something with federal immigration type of duties, right? Diane Figueroa, a U.S. citizen and paralegal, said an unmarked government vehicle struck her car at this intersection on October 10th while she was on her way to get coffee before going to work. You know, like Americans used to do, that is, before Trump's Gestapo ran up in the streets, the way I was told that they wouldn't do, and that also that they're not doing as they then do it. That's why you have to stop arguing with these people about reality, because we see it. Here's more. The Department of Homeland Security told Newsweek that Border Patrol was making a targeted arrest when Figueroa's vehicle blocked agents and struck an unmarked government vehicle. Did you see her blocking agents? Did you see her strike an unmarked government vehicle? Or did you see that government vehicle bust a U-turn in the middle of the street and cut her off and run into the front of her car? Maybe you saw that like everyone else saw happen. In fear of public safety and law enforcement, officers attempted to remove her from her vehicle, they said. She violently resisted, kicking two agents and causing injuries. This agitator was arrested for assault on a federal agent. That's what McLaughlin, the spokesperson for DHS, said. This agitator. So she's an agitator on her way to work, as she's a paralegal in her business outfit, headed there. But she, for some reason, was out searching for ICE agents to assault. And then they were injured by this woman. Aren't these some soft, butter soft pieces of shit? They keep talking about how they're getting injured. And man, these American citizens are hurting us. The paralegal said she was transported to multiple undisclosed locations and was not allowed to contact her family or legal counsel. She said she was never charged with a crime or informed of a legal reason for her detention. That sounds illegal to me. What it sounds like is what Stephen Miller said he wanted to do. You know, suspend due process, get rid of habeas corpus so that folks can do things like this to you in the street, and then there's absolutely no recourse for it. They don't have to go through any judicial systems. They don't have to tell you what you're arrested for. This is the Gestapo. Didn't you know? Lastly, she said she had recently undergone kidney surgery. Here's a quote from her. I'm presently receiving ongoing medical treatment and attending numerous appointments to rehabilitate from recent kidney injuries, kidney surgeries, and from multiple new injuries directly caused by this assault, is what she said. So as you saw that guy drop his knee on her waist and her stomach area where her kidneys are, where she had recent kidney surgery, they want to tell you that they were injured and assaulted by a woman whose car door they snatched open after running into it and pulled her out by her feet before they then surrounded her with 3 to 4 to 5 agents, and one standing there with his long gun out in case any American citizens wanted to, you know, beat their asses. But they sustained injuries. So since everyone's recording, and that seems to be the only recourse people figure that they have, here's Fox News talking about what Letitia James has proposed they do with all this footage.
Attorney General Letitia James announcing a new portal where residents can send photos and videos of ICE operations. James says the portal is meant to review and investigate legal violations by agents, and her statement referenced Tuesday's immigration raid in Chinatown in New York City. Meantime, House Democrats say they will launch their own similar ICE tracker. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi criticizing that effort, citing a sharp increase in violence against law enforcement.
So I guess there's going to be a portal where you can upload these things. And then what happens after that? I'm not criticizing it. I mean, there has to be some kind of recourse. People have all these videos as they're recording it. But if you also notice, these ICE agents, these DHS officers, all these folks that show up in the street and start assaulting Americans, they also have a videographer many times with them themselves. I guess it's like some kind of like kink that they have. Later, they go back into the office and sit around and watch how they attack a woman, all four of them jumping on her, and they give each other high fives and say, yeah, there we go. Hey, let's tell our supervisor, I'm sorry, whoever that is, let's tell them that we got injured. And then they laugh about how they said they got injured by this small woman who they all jumped on and said that injured her. But then they're taking their recordings and celebrating it later. Maybe they're putting in some kind of compilation edit video where they're putting some music, rock music behind it as they act like they're going after American citizens. By the way, that woman was released with no charges. You know why? Because she didn't do anything. What they did was they got their rocks off on attacking this woman. But this is also what's going on. Speaking of attacking people and all the injuries that ICE agents sustained, here's some reality to the people who are actually being harmed by this process.
When we saw that they were hiring more than 40 new doctors, nurses, pharmacists, therapists, we thought that was really interesting. I mean, we're in a government shutdown, and this isn't exactly hiring season in the federal government right now. But when we started looking into this, we saw that not only were deaths climbing very sharply. We are now close to the number of deaths that happened over the course of the entire 4 years of the Biden administration.
In just
happening in just 10 months, exactly. And so we were asking, DHS, ICE, why are you hiring all these people? We didn't get any answers, but when we started looking into it, we saw the deaths going up. We saw the detainee population absolutely exploding by the tens of thousands. And we learned that there are ongoing lawsuits about medical neglect and access to medication being disrupted for detainees. There was a lawsuit in Michigan about someone whose leukemia treatment was interrupted. There are hunger strikes going on in multiple states in ICE detention over conditions, including poor access to healthcare and medication. And so we talked to a bunch of experts who said, yes, these new hires, if they even happen, when they even happen, could help some things. They could help, people get their medications faster. They could help, when people are first booked, take their medical histories. You learn, somebody might have high blood pressure. Let's make sure to manage that so we don't have an emergency later on. But they said, look, the conditions people are being held in are so inhumane and unsafe. There's overcrowding. People are being held in tents in a lot of places, like this Alligator Alcatraz place and others like it, that there's just no way to keep people healthy and safe.
So people are dying in these detention facilities. People aren't getting their medications. These deaths are up. It's kind of like they don't care about people's lives. It's like they consider them lesser and subhuman individuals, that they can do whatever they want to them, because they said they've been given a mandate to have human rights abuses at the behest of this fascist president. This is the reality of what is that's going on. As they're hiring more people to maybe address the problem, these are the type of people that they're actually hiring. ICE has placed new recruits into its training program before they have completed the agency's vetting process. An unusual sequence of events as it rushes to hire federal immigration officers to carry out Trump's mass deportation policy. ICE officials only later discovered that some of the recruits failed drug testing, have disqualifying criminal backgrounds, or don't meet the physical or academic requirements to serve. Talk about the least surprising news of the day. They're hiring people who are drug addicts. They're hiring people who don't have the right physical capabilities and are too stupid to do anything else. It's kind of like they're hiring all of Donald Trump's Proud Boys and all of his racists off the streets that he said, stand by until I get you back in some kind of level of power. Here's more from this story from NBC News. Staff members at ICE's training academy in Brunswick, Georgia, recently discovered one recruit had previously been charged with strong arm robbery and battery stemming from a domestic violence incident. They've also found as recently as this month that some recruits going through the 6-week training course hadn't submitted fingerprints for background checks as ICE's hiring process requires. Weird how that keeps happening. Criminals are all in ICE. I think that might be the reason why they're acting like criminals in the streets, a gang of criminals running up on people, snatching women out of cars, slamming American citizens against walls in New York before someone says, I'm an American citizen. And they go, really? I didn't know that. Because they're chocked full of racists. The number one requirement to be part of Donald Trump's entire Gestapo and his fascist administration is to be a racist, to be a bigot, and to be stupid. The figures you reference are not accurate and reflect a subset of candidates in initial basic academy classes. That's what the DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said. The same person who said that woman who they snatched out of the car was assaulting all of our officers. Here's more of her quote. The vast majority of new officers brought on during this hiring surge are experienced law enforcement officers who have already successfully completed a law enforcement academy. This population is expected to account for greater than 85% of new hires. Prior service hires follow streamlined validation, but remain subject to medical fitness and background requirements. Former law enforcement officers, they said experienced law enforcement officers. I would assume it's many of those former law enforcement officers, the few of which who were fired, removed from positions of power because they probably assaulted people in normal traffic stops or whatever else they did, corrupt things they did within their departments before. Those same people that Donald Trump said he wanted to give immunity to during the campaign, you know, when he signaled that he was going to be like this. So all the people who said, oh, he's just trolling you libs. Well, there's all of those fat, dumb, drug addict law enforcement officials formerly that get hired up by ICE because the darkest and the dumbest are the types of people that Donald Trump hires.